This is an AASHTO Transportation TV special report on the Knowledge Session, addressing risk and resilience through the State Asset Management Plan, sponsored by the American Concrete Pipe Association. From wildfires, heat waves, and drought, to destructive hurricanes, flooding, and crippling ice and snowstorms, state DOTs are on the front lines, responding to the impacts of extreme weather. As a result, much is being learned, and state DOTs are applying best practices regarding extreme weather and resilience as they complete the federally required updates to their asset management plans. As moderator of this knowledge session, Josh Beakley, Vice President of Engineering at the American Concrete Pipe Association, wanted to know how those state plans were coming together.
The reality is, we're talking about extreme events here. If we can endure them good enough, they don't become disasters. And that's what a lot of folks, I think, in the room are trying to do, and we're going to hear a lot about today, is how we're trying to address some of these issues.
On the panel was Jennifer Carver, Statewide Community Planning Coordinator for Florida DOT, Pam Cotter, Acting Administrator of Planning for Rhode Island DOT, Sandy Hertz, Director of the Office of Climate Change, Resilience, and Adaptation at Maryland DOT, and Nathan Lee, Director of Technology and Innovation at Utah DOT. In her opening remarks, Pam Cotter described the kind of extreme weather they're seeing in Rhode Island.
It might be the smallest state, but it has a lot of ocean. Rhode Island has 400 miles of coastline, large inland waterways, and that's all impactful with climate change. We get riverine flooding, sea level rise, and storm surge. And one of the things that we're measuring right now is how that affects our key assets, especially when it comes to their life cycles in coastal communities and other parts of the state. Frequent storms are even more frequent these days, and they're extreme. In 2022 alone, Providence experienced its snowiest day ever, which is hard to believe if any of you from the Northeast have heard the legend of the blizzard of '78. It was actually worse this year.
In Florida, which is still reeling from the devastating impacts of Hurricane Ian, Jennifer Carver says resilience planning goes far beyond the state's asset management plan.
Also our freight plan, our seaports and waterways plan, and our strategic intermodal system plan as well. So it's embedded into our long-range planning processes. And then we also have an agency resiliency policy that was approved back in 2020 that provides a definition of resilience. And the key words there are adapting to changing conditions, preparing, withstanding, and recovering from disruption. We're focused on numerous risks, but focused a lot on storms, flooding, and sea level rise in what we're doing for planning and engineering, assessing our impacts, and then employing and identifying strategies to mitigate and eliminate those impacts.
Each panelist emphasized the critical role that data plays in the decision-making process. Nathan Lee explained how UDOT puts its asset data to work using a risk priority analysis tool.
And within that tool, we have all of our assets, all of the threats, the user costs, all of those things you saw about criticality, risk priority. They all fall within that tool and they're all mapped. The idea behind this is there's a whole bunch of data out there, and you want to get that data to not just be information, but you want it to be knowledge.
Panelist Sandy Hertz says Maryland DOT has been collecting risk and asset management data for years on the facilities within its 5 multimodal transportation business units. In addition to the State Highway Administration, MDOT controls transit, motor vehicles, ports, and aviation.
So it's data-driven. We try to be as transparent as we can in the approach to asset management and resiliency. And we're always looking for ways to continue to improve upon the collection of the data as well as how we're using that data.
By the first quarter of 2023, all state DOTs are expected to have completed the federally mandated updates to their transportation asset management plans to address extreme weather and resilience. To learn more, visit AASHTO's Transportation Asset Management portal at tam-portal.com.